I'm hoping this video is not a signal for a reversal because things are looking a little bit positive. So we need to be mindful of that. And I think we need to go into this with an open mind. The reason being, some of the charts are giving us some nice little signals in terms of a potential bottom. Now, this video is all about what to look for, when to do your research, and giving yourself your own confirmation bias of why you should be buying something. This doesn't mean not go all in, time to buy altcoins. It's showcasing that there's something that could mean we change. So here we are. We have CPI. Good data. 2.5% came in under the estimate, which is good. Big problem we have is what rate cut are we going to have, right? Obviously, market was volatile, and this is the data that we've got so far. It's not bad data. It's not the terrible data in the world. It's probably kind of where we expected it, but I know a lot of people want a 50 base point move. I don't think that will happen though, given the current target rate in terms of the estimations and stuff like that. So what does this mean for us? Well, in my last video, feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. I kind of talked about the S&P 500 in terms of a big pump and then a correction down with rate cuts in the past. That was all past data from 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And the big problem that we have with that is cryptocurrency has never had a big rate cut like this. It's had a small one and it was a bit iffy, but that was only going from 2.5% down to, the COVID lows essentially, right? We're currently at 5.5%. We've got a long way to go. So, flight for safety, Bitcoin could be a savior, like gold, people putting their money elsewhere, maybe a bit of liquidity drying up, all that kind of stuff could be very interesting. So we need to kind of decipher that. And altcoins seem to be doing something interesting right now for the first time since March? So, altcoins, hello. Bitfinex analysts are anticipating a potential shift in cryptocurrency dynamics. Now, I will showcase some stuff. Now, for obvious reasons, we've got to look at this with an absolute fine grain of salt. So this video isn't so much me talking about the news, it's more about giving you opinion and showing you some charts that you need to bookmark. You need to probably save this video, come back to it at a later date, and help with your trend analysis on a higher time frame to hopefully, fingers crossed, make sure you get in safely, right? On my Patreon, I will be telling people very, very soon what I'll be doing with my BTC stash. I'm currently about 78, 80% worth of Bitcoin right now. That money will be going into altcoins at the right time. I've kind of decided what I'm going to do with it. It's all about the percentage game, right? I want to have exposure. The people that have been building altcoins in terms of high dominance, riding out will probably do very well in the bull market. Therefore, we need to talk about what has been said in this article. Dominance. Bitcoin dominance has been mentioned. Total capitalization decreased by 1.3%. That's really, really interesting. All assets excluding the top 10 is currently increasing by 4.4%. So dare we say that the shift hints at a potential regime change where investors exploring value in altcoins diverging from the pattern of flocking to Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance is high. That 60% level isn't far away. It's not a bad place to be, let's be honest, if you are in Bitcoin for obvious reasons, right? So where does this always go to? Well, we need to talk about this. If Bitcoin dominance has indeed reached the local top, we may see a period of altcoin outperformance in the next coming months. Yeah, I know. Scary words. But it kind of runs in line with this as well, right? We've got to look at the obvious. Now, this is just the quarterly returns right now, monthly returns, all that kind of good stuff, right? September is often a weak month, and then we go into Q4, from Q3 into Q4 with some bleak optimism, but reality tells us, well, sometimes often that Q4 is really good. Look at Bitcoin returns here, on average, really good. Ethereum, though, not as good. However, this is interesting. Now, what we could find, as much as this article I do like, and I think it could work, the thing that we need to be wary of is the fundamental catalyst that Bitcoin moves aggressively first. But when we talk about that, we talk about the obvious of retail. the algorithm on social media where people are talking about Bitcoin because it's broken an all-time high, leading to more interest and information, and that's where it creates that snowball. That's where everything grows. Weirdly, it works, right? So let's look at this bit of analysis here. Run it back. Crypto analyst predicts a massive rally for Ethereum and Solana. Says October will be lit. Not heard that word in a while. So essentially what we're looking at is the most obvious chart in the world, a little bit on the fence, but a potential trend line break. And even though I talked about Ethereum in my last video, the big fundamental element here is all about interest, right? If interest returns, liquidity returns, people get off their flamingos in the pool and they start doing things, that is where we start to see things roll back. And we've got to think, right, where is crypto? Is it in a fair values area? Is it literally at a place where you can buy? You could probably say, yes, it can be. It depends what you pick, though. That's the ultimate question, right? So for me, I feel that we are going to start seeing some signs of life in a lot of altcoins. We're already seeing it, but we need to wait for those little confirmations, right? Another question that I got asked yesterday on my Patreon MMQs was, will we get 10x's in the top 20, top 30, top 40 sort of vibe again? Now, when you look at these cryptocurrency assets, right? I know the thumbnail is very much what to buy. I'm going to showcase some certain things in a minute. There's a lot of things here that haven't been around that long. There's a lot of things that have been here for a long time who are, in my opinion, at very, very good value levels, right? The thing is, right, and I want everyone to know this, right? This is where we're going to get deeper. Not everything, I think personally in this cycle, not everything will pump. We're currently at a fear and greed of 37. We're already at a point where a lot of altcoins are broken. A lot of new assets, so to speak, 3 to 4 years, were released in the previous cycle and they had a lot lower circulating supply. So look at Solana, for example, right? Its market cap's way higher than the previous cycle, but its price is way lower than what it was at all-time high. Kind of makes sense, right? So try not to fall into the trap that, Solana is like really undervalued versus all-time high when realistically its market cap is $63 billion, right? Will that 10x from here? Probably not, right? Just put that point out there. So you got to look at that. So please try not to get too caught up in the emotions of it. You know that I mean business now that the white charts are back. So my BTC analysis has been relatively straightforward and relatively simple, right? Not everyone agreed with me, but I've been talking about this level for a long time that we're probably going to go and retest that. Be mindful of it, please. And we've had 3 retests of this region, right? Which is fair enough on the weekly time frame. The big underlying problem that I do have with a lot of things is the fact that this is still looking absolutely horrible. The weekly timeframes on Bitcoin don't look great, but it does give us a respite, and we've seen realistically a lot of altcoins doing their thing. This is where you need to start pinning your ears back, because as much as I love Bitcoin, I'm not ruling out a level like this where we get mass uncertainty. However, I do think it's unlikely, but it's, as I say, it's always possible. What we need is a Bitcoin to be safe, steady, and chilled. That will allow altcoins to grow and actually, for the first time in a long time, get some much needed momentum. Now, this is a chart that you need to pay attention to, right? I will write it down. It is the total 3/BTC, right? And you're probably wondering, Ash, what does this indicate? What it indicates is very, very simple. It is a total 3 of the market cap, excluding Bitcoin, excluding Ethereum, in the BTC pairs. Now, if you don't know this, the BTC pairs is what rules the market, what rules the roost. It's showcasing, are altcoins doing better or worse than Bitcoin? To grow your asset, it's not about Bitcoin. Bitcoin could go to 200,000, but if your altcoin goes the other way, yeah, you're making USD, but actually, realistically, you would have been better buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, right? So this is telling us something. Now, over the course of the last year, since the 12th of the 12th, 2022, you should have realistically not been in any altcoins. And I openly admit this. I've said it in my Patreon as one of my biggest flops was I bought more altcoins at FTX crashing versus Bitcoin. I should have bought Bitcoin, right? I'm openly honest with that. So you can see here the trend is your friend, and the EMA 8 is below the EMA 21. And that has been telling us don't be in altcoins because they're going to underperform, basically, right? But what we're starting to see for the first time in a long while, a bit of overperformance. Now, this was remember when the market went really turbo in like November to March and everyone was like really buzzing and excited. This was this move up. We went from like 0.5 up to 0.62. We're currently back down to these like 0.5 levels again, right? Give or take. But what for the first time, maybe. Now, this is the thing. This is a caveat to all this. It's not a confirmed break. It's not a confirmed anything. This is a watch and shoot sort of vibe where you should be, as an investor, looking at, hopefully, fingers crossed, getting your portfolio to a point where you are ready to go. I want to buy this. I've done my research on that. I want to allocate this much capital. I want to do this and hold it for whatever, right? If we start getting a trend going up, now there's a potential change of character happening right now, right? A change of character is where we're in downtrend and we're going to break the previous level. If we close above this point, you could probably argue that this is a genuine change of character, which means the trend might be changing, the bulls may be stepping in. So that could be huge, but it's not confirmed yet, right? So this is the whole point. We need to be on top of this and be aware of it, because if that does happen, well, guess what? We're probably going to, if we break above this and then we pull back down, we may well shoot and then start seeing some nice little levels. But where does this go? Well, we don't know. We've got a long way to go. The total 3/BTC is going to be the most important chart we're going to have for a while, alongside, obviously, the Bitcoin dominance chart, which is still trending up. Again, as I've alluded to, I bought Bitcoin. Oh, well, no. I bought Bitcoin years ago. I should have bought more Bitcoin at the FTX crash. I didn't. Dead. But it's just the way it is, right? So again, another important chart is obviously this. What's happening? Well, not a lot. We're stuck, right? Now, there's obviously a bit of weight with Ethereum. Ethereum's not doing very well right now, but that's good because altcoins are doing better than Ethereum, essentially, obviously. But that's because Bitcoin dominance isn't rising and continuing to rise, which is good. This is just melting. I know. I said something about Ethereum in my last video and people got really upset. It's just a joke. I just don't hold Ethereum. Just the way it is. But you know what's happening. Solana is taking up that flack. So is BNB. Even Cardano has shown a sign of life, right? So all of these, if you look at the big big capitalization coins /.D, it's telling us what's happening. Now, why would you want to buy Cardano when it's doing this? Dominance of it's just dropping. I know a lot of alpha, sorry. But yeah, you get the idea, right? So you need to be very, very mindful of that, right? When we talk about the analysis of the market, we've got to look at altcoins in an open book. I personally don't like using this as like a gauge because this is an inflated number. Why? More altcoins are getting kind of diluted into the market. It's going to increase that overall weight. You're better off looking at the dominances because you want to see which is actually performing better than Bitcoin. Now, to kind of visualize this a little bit better than the TradingView charts, we've got to look at the likes of this. And this is basically telling us here what's happening. Now, this is a bit iffy, this chart, but it kind of gives you an idea. You can see here all the altcoins are underperforming Bitcoin, apart from maybe ICP, BNB, Solana, a couple of others here and there. And then obviously the likes of SU, XRP and stuff. Some of them are doing well. But let's look at them in an obvious kind of sense on the weekly time frame in terms of what's happening with structure. As I say, total 3/BTC, keep an eye on it. But there's a lot of altcoins here on this chart right now you can look at and go, they're not doing well, but it could be a very good buy signal for accumulation to add to my bags. If I've got Bitcoin, I can then accumulate with my BTC because potentially, as hopefully, fingers crossed, it's not confirmed yet, we get an alt season where we start to run it up, you're going to make some Bitcoin for free or you're going to make some good gains. So let's look at what is genuinely happening with some altcoins. Now, just to make things clear, not financial advice, but we're going to look at a couple. SU, for example, right? Random, I know. It's a new chart, but this is somewhat trying to run. This is a weekly time frame, so don't get caught out by this, but I want to show you something. This has been running down for a while, and you can see what's happening. The total market caps are showing the same sort of vibe where we're starting to get to a point where we're starting to see a trend. Once you get a clear and confirmed breakouts on a lot of these, you may well see some big runners. However, When you look at the BTC pairs, you need to be very mindful of it. So for example, NIA, total 3 day chart is still below these points. You've got to wait for a confirmed change in the trend. So please be mindful of this, right? But we're getting to a point where we are starting to get retests, and that's really, really helpful. And when you back it up with the data of going into Q4, where it's often more bullish, you may well find that a lot more action will come. However, what won't make this do well is if Bitcoin fucks off to the moon, which could happen. So the likes of NIA, for example, yeah, there's a level here where you can look at and think, you know what, that's not a bad little area to kind of maybe top up my bags. Obviously the lows, but you're waiting for this to kind of slowly just dribble up and confirm. You want to have levels of support. So when you go back in time and you're looking at how things kind of move, obviously this level here, once you break a level like this, it's kind of good. So for me, what I would be looking for with NIA, this level here that we're kind of going above, that isn't a bad little level to be at, because ultimately, more often than not, you tend to go up when you start breaking these higher levels on the higher timeframes. Chainlink, nothing confirmed yet, but things are looking very, very interesting. We're at lows. There's levels all the way over here. If we start breaking maybe this level here, in my opinion, above that EMA 21 and above this region, previous levels of support and stuff like that, you may well find that things are looking a bit more better. Polkadot, absolutely shocking, doing horrendous. But there's a nice little level here where you break above that point, new change of character coming into play, you may well find that we may well start to run back up again. Things will do stuff, like look at these for runs, right? Crazy. But ultimately, the big bull cycle that you all want, it'll probably run a lot higher over the course of time. But it all depends on so many different charts. Not everything will go up together. But when you start looking at timing and the trend of the market, we need to get in front of it properly, and you need to do your research. But if you are a diamond hand holder, this is not a bad place to start looking, because dominance is high, that is low. Simple as that. Your altcoins are low. If you've been holding Bitcoin all this time and you're waiting for a time to strike, yeah, if you can handle the rough rides and a bit of volatility, you may be absolutely fine. But you would much rather buy here than a year ago, let's be honest, or wherever, or even longer than a year ago. So you need to be very, very, very mindful of it. But there we go. The final bit we need to talk about is obviously the dollar. The dollar is showing signs of weakness. If this starts melting and we lose this level here, you may well find that altcoins will run. When you look at potentially institutions stepping back in and buying Bitcoin, or maybe even buying some of the altcoins, Ethereum ETF, which is the only thing we've got, we may well find that the market will start running again. But before I really end and tell you to all to bugger off, Bitcoin is still in a bit of a downtrend. It needs to actually, consolidate and accumulate, go into an accumulation zone and just chill for a bit. It's not great, but altcoins are genuinely showing signs of life when Bitcoin isn't, which is really good. But don't get ahead of yourselves. Simple as that. So there you go. Hope you enjoy. If you need more content from me, more exclusive videos on what I'm doing, check out Patreon. If you want to learn how to trade and do technical analysis, check out Learning Crypto. However, if you like this stuff, leave a like. It means a lot.